football and we have takes. Welcome to Football Takes. Football! Yeah! Football!
All right, dudes, welcome in. Football Takes here. Brand new YouTube channel we just launched a couple weeks ago. You can find it YouTube if you're listening on some other platform, or maybe you're getting this on the Purple Daily podcast feed. We just launched this new Football Takes YouTube channel and Apple and Spotify separate accounts for it too. On YouTube, it's youtube.com/@ScoreNorthFootballTakes. You can also find a link to it on our other YouTube channels on the Purple Daily homepage. You can find it on that YouTube channel. And then on Apple and Spotify. The best things you can do if you enjoy these football takes about the NFL, about college, about the draft, etc., is click the subscribe button and the like button. And then also on Apple, Spotify, a 5-star rating and a positive review. We got our guy Thor Nystrom. We got the sports dad Judd Zulgad. I'm Phil Mackey. Gentlemen, it's a glorious time. We got college football playoffs continuing this week. We've got NFL playoffs on the horizon. Week 18, there's some drama in the NFL, and it's almost draft season as well. It's always draft season if you're Thor, though. So
Football.
Doesn't
Sure is.
Yeah. So Thor, why don't you do the honors? Hit the breakfast ball here. What's your first football take?
Well, yesterday on Sunday afternoon, I'm sitting there, I'm watching the Raiders and Giants game. Because as an NFL draft guy, I needed to see which of those teams was going to tank more egregiously. And it turns out it was the Raiders, which they had hinted to us during the week when they told Max Crosby, one of their best players, their best player, to go home and shut him down. Here is my take. It is time for an NFL draft lottery. Stop the shenanigans. Stop 2-12 teams facing each other, trying to decide who wants to lose the game more. And you have a home team that is putting out an abomination of a product in front of their fans. There's a lot of blue in the stands there, but the tanking has become pretty rampant. And this year, it's almost becoming more egregious than we've seen, where teams aren't really hiding their tracks with it anymore. The Max Crosby situation is, a topical one that you point to, a big example of that. But it's really difficult to legislate, right? The Raiders aren't going to be investigated for the Max Crosby thing, right? Or the Jets aren't going to be investigated for starting Brady Cook down the stretch and giving us non-NFL football on national TV. Brutal stuff watching that Giants and Raiders game. There's so many more examples. Instead of rewarding the team that tanks the best down the stretch or wants to lose the most, let's remove the incentive for losing. And that is why we bring in the NFL Draft Lottery. You're going to televise it, and you are going to shatter your rating records, or put it on pay-per-view if you got to. I mean, whatever you need to do to get this thing. The 18 teams that do not qualify for the playoffs, put them into that lottery. Think about next year, right? You're going into that potentially historically stacked 2027 draft. Let's just assume Arch Manning next season for Texas has a Heisman winning season, absolutely destroys it. He's the bell-to-bell Heisman guy. And now you have 18 fan bases sitting there waiting for the commissioner to start pulling out. I don't know if we do envelopes, we do the ping pong balls, whatever it is. Even if your franchise didn't need a quarterback, the ability to get that pick and then auction it off for a king's ransom would be absolutely awesome, as opposed to down the stretch the last month and a half of the season. You watch these games like Giants and Raiders, and it's just a clown show. Bring in an NFL draft lottery.
Oh, I love that this is the first take here. If nothing else, the NFL is always starved for new TV shows, basically, right?
Yep.
Like they turned the schedule release into a primetime 3-hour TV show about 10 years ago. You already know who essentially all your opponents are going to be when the season's over, but you don't know the order in which you play those opponents. And they turned that into a primetime special. They've turned the draft into not just like a one-nighter. It's a primetime special on a Thursday, and then a primetime thing on a Friday. And then for the sickos like Thor and company, Saturday is an all-day extravaganza with rounds, 4, 5, 6, 7. And they've got their Netflix series now, too. And so the fact that Max Crosby is openly ripping the organization, saying, I don't give a bleep about the first overall pick. All I care about is us, building a defense and me being... And they said, well, no, but dude, you need knee surgery. We're protecting you. So his response was to go on Instagram and post photos and videos of him playing basketball and on a trampoline with his daughter, I want to say.
Yep.
And so Max Crosby's like, dude, my knee is just fine. I could have waited 2 extra weeks to get the surgery here, but I'm super intrigued. I'd be curious to, maybe we can flesh this out, to go into more of the details about like how it would be arranged. Judd, what are your thoughts?
I can't believe I'm going to say this, but because, the assumption has been that the lottery would fix the basketball problem going back to the 80s. It would fix hockey. But the one thing that I really like that baseball does is you can't have like a top 10 pick in back-to-back years too. So it removes your ability to just try to cash in, we're going to get another, because it feels like there's enough franchises that are so incompetent and they don't get penalized on the draft. So I would introduce that as well. So if you get the number 1 pick, that's awesome, but you can't be then in the top 5 again and again and again. You got to get your act together. That's a baseball idea. Baseball doesn't do a lot of things right. I like that one. But as far as programming goes, yeah, can you imagine what the sales price, they're always adding, this league does a marvelous job of adding content that can be sold. And can you imagine what the price point on the NFL draft lottery in prime time would be? The fan bases, and it would be a bunch of fan bases too. Oh my God.
It could rotate networks, it'd be great.
Whatever you want to do. But I mean, that would be in the next package. And I guess I read this. The National Football League is 3 years into an 11-year TV contract, and they're looking to open them up again for more value.
Yeah.
And this is why I think Christmas Day flex scheduling is coming at some point in time. But that is a great idea, Thor. I love it, and I think it would be a home run.
So what you could do for timing? You could either marry the draft lottery the weekend between Championship Sunday and the Super Bowl, because you're giving them 2 weeks off, right? So you could either put it there where like the Pro Bowl games sit, and sometimes people watch, or you could marry it with the Combine, where day one of NFL Combine week.
Let's do that.
So it's Combine week, and the first thing we're gonna do before we evaluate these players is settle on the draft order live on NFL Network. I'm Rich Eisen here.
Oh my God, my head just came off my shoulders.
That would be amazing. That's what they absolutely should do.
And can you imagine the shows, like the shows that lead up to that, as far as like breaking down, okay, what happens like in this case, let's just say that this year was a lottery. Okay, let's talk about the Chiefs potentially getting the top pick. Oh my God.
Yeah, and if it's next year, let's say the Chiefs had another disaster season. It's some like Mahomes gets injured again. And then it's like, well, if the Chiefs were to win the lottery, are then they going to move on for it? Would you trade Patrick Mahomes, or would you trade the pick to Arch Manning?
Dude, bravo. Bravo, Thor.
Also, it would be great. I love the idea with the Combine as well. And Judd, I'm gonna take your idea of let's make it top 5. In the NBA draft lottery, you select the 3 cards or whatever, and then after that, it's ordered starting with the 4th pick. It just goes regular by worst record.
Right.
The NFL, let's do 5. We're going to select 5, and then the 6th one is just the team with the worst record, and you do it down from there. But let's add in the MLB rule of you can't get a top 5 pick in consecutive drafts. So it would remove. If you got one in the previous season, that removes your ability to get in to that top 5 in the lottery thing. And then other teams, let's say you're the Vikings this year, right? And it's 18 teams. But let's say there's, I don't have the number in front of me. How many of those teams had top 5 picks last year? But now it goes from 18 to 14, right? And your odds of getting the number 1 pick, if we're doing even odds, I mean, that's another thing we'd have to decide. I would kind of advocate for even odds because it totally
even odds
removes
for
the
all
incentive.
18 teams?
All 18 non-playoff teams.
So right now, the Vikings and the Colts are among I think the Vikings, Colts, Lions, and there's another team in there are all 8-8 right now at the bottom of the list. And then you got the Giants and the Raiders, who won the Tankathon Bowl yesterday, won it, quote unquote, by losing it. That the Raiders and the Vikings, or the Raiders and the Colts, would have the same percentage chance to win the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah. Yeah, the Raiders took 3 hours of my time yesterday. I mean, why are we gonna reward them for that? Toss them all into the lottery with even odds. And again, I love the idea of you don't get top 5 picks in consecutive drafts. I think that's really good too. But yeah, the tanking thing, it's got to stop. You can't have a star player who's telling the reporters like early in the week, like, I'm healthy enough to play. I'm going to play. I don't care about any of that tanking stuff. And then the team the next day is like, yeah, you're not. Go home. And then he's jumping on his trampoline. He's doing his backflips. He's in his home court, which for some reason, I don't know why the Crosbys, they have advertisements on the, like, behind the basket. I don't know if you guys saw that. They had company logos there. Either way, it was weird stuff with the video. Max Crosby's obviously trying to make a point. And really what the point is this is ludicrous that my team is actively trying to lose games and tanking. I agree with you, Max. We got an issue. We got the solution, and that is the NFL draft lottery.
I love this.
Yeah, this is great. I think this is innovation here happening on Football Takes.
Combine day one. It would be the most well-attended combine of all time. Yeah. Indianapolis would be turning people away. We have hit capacity in the city. No more.
Well, this would be, I guess, because they've been looking for ways to move the combine around as a traveling event, like the Super Bowl is, right? And and the draft is a traveling event now. But like logistically, it makes sense because everyone's comfortable with the setup in Indy, and they got a bunch of hotels you can kind of walk around. But there's probably 10 or 12 other cities you could rotate to do you just need a big ass stadium with a bunch of convention space. And so you could, Minneapolis would be a great host for the combine. The convention center over here in the stadium. Yeah. And there's other cities too. And then so adding the NFL draft lottery as an event, as a televised thing, a primetime special at the beginning of that week. Millions. And then all the players. Oh my God.
Millions of dollars.
Would be amazing.
Oh God.
Judd, do you have a football take for us and the audience?
I do. And my take is this. I would like to go in a time machine. And I would like to take the 2025 Bears defense and just go back a few years to 2022 so they could shake the hands of the Vikings defense from that season. Because I've talked about this, but I looked up the stats after watching the Bears, and it was a fun game. As a fan, it was great. San Francisco, Chicago, it was just punches being traded by offenses back and forth. San Fran wins it 42-38. But I'm watching that. And the game starts with a Brock Purdy pick 6. And you're like, oh, the Bears, man, opportunistic Bears, that defense. But then you start to see the real defense. Allen and our guy, Ed Donatel, should be good friends. The Bears defense as of this morning, okay? And this is a team that's a good team. Offensively, they're very good. But the Bears defense, 28th in total defense. 357.3 yards given up per game. Last night, 496 yards.
Yeah.
They're 21st in pass defense. They're 28th against the run. They're 22nd in scoring. Gave up a 42 burger last night. But they're number 1 in takeaways. They've got 32. 22 picks. 10 fumble recoveries. 22 Vikings, 31st in total defense, 31st in pass defense, 20th against the run. So the Bears, these Bears and those Vikings flip in their ineptitude against the pass and run. The Vikings, 30th in scoring defense, 25.1 points per game in 22. The 2025 Bears are 22nd, but 24.8 points per game. And the Vikings in 2022 were tied for 8th with 25 takeaways, 15 picks, and 10 fumbles recovered. But the point being is you're not going to last very long in the playoffs if you take that defense and count on takeaways, which, yeah, you could count on them a little bit. I get that, but you certainly can't live off of them. Ben Johnson's going to learn a very hard lesson that Kevin O'Connell learned in his first year, and that's if you take these defenses into the playoffs, I got one thing to say. See you later.
Agreed. Yeah, the Bears fans, they haven't been the happiest with me this year because of my Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams take, which turns out it looks like I'm wrong there. But on this account, I totally agree with you. The Bears, they're a fluky team. it's not a way that you can win in the postseason. And here's another thing Bears fans can clip if I'm wrong on this. I think they're looking at an early exit as well,
Yeah, I agree.
and that being a big reason why.
Yep, I agree.
So I think if the playoffs started today, the Bears would host the Packers in the first round because the Bears are the 2 seed and the Packers are the 7 right now. So the Seahawks would get the bye again if the playoffs started today. So you'd have Bears hosting Packers. You'd have Eagles who just won their second game. You could actually, this is wild right now. Here's my take. I'll just give you an impromptu take since we're slinging them on football takes.
Mm-hmm.
If the playoffs started today, the first round of the NFC bracket would include 3 road, I was going to say upsets, but it's possible some of these, if not all of these, would be road favorites. The Packers would beat the Bears at Soldier Field if either Malik Willis or Jordan Love would start that game. The Rams would beat the Eagles in Philadelphia. The Eagles who just won their second game without completing a pass in the second half.
Crazy
Miraculous
game. That was a crazy game.
And then the 49ers would walk in because the Panthers technically would be the division winner based on a tiebreaker right now until we see what happens in week 18. The 49ers would walk in and potentially boat race the Carolina Panthers. You'd have 3 road teams going in. That would be my hypothetical prediction if the playoffs start today, the NFC. Kind of an amazing bracket, the way you look at it.
Did you guys see if the Bears play the Packers first round in the cold, they might score a combined 80 points. Have you guys seen? So the Packers on Saturday against Baltimore gave up 175 yards on the ground in the first half. They gave up 307 yards, which was the most by a visiting team in Lambeau Field since 1978. Keep in mind, the Packers sucked until 92, okay? Derrick Henry, 216 yards on 36 carries, 4 touchdowns. And in the 2 games that Micah Parsons has now missed, and he's done, the Packers are giving up an average of 407 yards per game.
Let's go.
Bears-Packers might look like an Arena League game.
It'll look like last night's Niners Bears game.
You're right.
It wasn't really played in the cold.
You're right, but it's just back and forth. So you score, no, you score, no, you score, no, you score.
Oh.
Wow.
Well, yeah, and hopefully the Packers would have their best quarterback out there for that one, Malik Willis.
Would you? You know what's funny? Can we go down that path for a second? Thor has taken a beating from people this season for J.J. McCarthy. That after 5.5 games, Thor was wrong about J.J. McCarthy. Oh, wait a second though. Oh, and now he's lighting some teams up. I mean, right now the biggest criticism of McCarthy is that he can't stay on the field. It's like 4 injuries in 2 years, and that's a real thing. But then people were then trying to dig into Thor's history as a draft evaluator and say, well, wait, he also liked Malik Willis. This guy's a fraud. And then people see Malik Willis get another start, and he looked really good last year in a couple starts with the Packers. And he's averaging like 13 yards per attempt, and they're playing off play action, using his mobility. And that dude is a free agent after this season is over. Very interesting timing for him to put that on tape this last week, Thor.
Never wrong, just early, Phil.
Matt LaFleur had to defuse the potential controversy too. Like he was asked about that. Hey, Malik looks pretty good. He's like, Jordan Love's our guy, our franchise guy, because we paid him. He's our franchise guy. Don't talk about that. But it is, boy, and this opens up the door for such an interesting quarterback conversation about paying guys again. Paying guys big, I should say.
Yeah,
okay, has Malik Willis put enough sample size out to get like a starting job as a free agent, or is he going to go in and compete for something or just be a backup? Like, what is his status right now, do you think, as a free agent?
I think he gets one of those contracts in between, and maybe a shorter term one for if he booms, then he would get the opportunity to sign the big one for true quarterback one money. But yeah, I think he's going to have to prove it over a full season, and justifiably so. But to me, Malik Willis, it's an example of the cowardice in the NFL, both with their evaluation process and also just on the coaching side as well. That's a guy, I don't know how the NFL looked at that guy when he was coming out of Liberty, a guy that can throw the ball 80 yards. He has a slingshot for an arm, and then an amazing athlete in a big, thick package can get out there and run. You have combination, like it's like Jalen Hurts, not quite as much power as Hurts, but you had power and then speed. Not quite as agile as Lamar Jackson, but he had the straight line speed. And for that guy, you can't construct an offense around him. Right, the whole NFL is like no, and then he falls into the third round, and then the Titans are like, you're gonna have to run a pro style system from the pocket. We're gonna turn you into a pocket passer. You're gonna run the 38-year-old Ryan Tannehill offense when he's not in there, and like the NFL, we saw the one exception to this that we have seen is with Lamar Jackson. Right. And the Ravens were like, we'll take him and then we'll design an offense around him. If that had been done from Malik Willis from the get, there'd be a totally different narrative around Malik Willis. And the first time he gets good coaching around him, it's not a surprise to me that he's playing well.
And that's why, and I know, as you said, Thor, he dropped to the third round, but that's why, like, when the Titans take you, you're like, oh, God.
Yeah. It's horrible.
It's the Titans.
Yeah, and then he's stranded in this bad system, this like old school, antiquated, pro style kind of system, where again you have to stay in the pocket, you have to go through the. It's not his game. It's not his game. Allow him to use his legs, get outside the pocket, and then throw down the field, right? So that the opposing team can't stack the box. It works. It works. It will work. So yeah, like the NFL should seriously reconsider Malik Willis this time around, because in my opinion, they missed on his eval the first time around.
Mm-hmm. Can I throw a team out real quick?
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to think, because you're right. It's got to be. It can't be this is my system type.
And I will say it in advance, Phil, before he says, the Viking fans have gotten really excited about Malik Willis, and he'll be the guy. I don't think that the Vikings end up bringing in Malik Willis. Right, I don't think that's where you were going with that. But I was told during that pre-draft process, I liked Malik Willis a lot that year, and so the Vikings, they were at the end with Kirk Cousins. I was hoping the Vikings would take Malik Willis. I was told that spring Vikings will not be selecting Malik Willis. They don't like Malik Willis's game. They don't think it's a fit for their offense. And then I recently spoke to someone who has worked with Malik Willis that said, I do not think the Vikings will be interested. Now that's secondhand, right? It's not that's not someone inside the organization, but it seemed that it was indicative that he had heard kind of similar things that I had during that pre-draft process or since. So I don't think it's going to be the Vikes.
I think like Kevin O'Connell, think about how much work it took the last month, staying up at all hours of the night, to simplify a system or to change a system for another young quarterback. That would be I think you'd have to go with a even further steps down the road. Well, what if there was a current head coach in the NFL that I think is a really good head coach that's just had some horrible stability and luck at quarterback? But when he has been given as an offensive coordinator and a head coach the last 5 years, when he's been given kind of a dual threat athlete quarterback that can make throws, but also the ability to use his legs, a running game, read option, play action, use your mobility. Shane Steichen, Indianapolis Colts. They thought they were drafting this with Anthony Richardson, but Malik Willis, I think, is more accurate as a passer than Anthony Richardson. Mm-hmm. And in Philadelphia, as a coordinator for Jalen Hurts, he helped like with that system they were building, read option, run game heavy, but quarterback, use your legs, your mobility. And then I don't think Phillip Rivers is coming back at age 45 next year. And Daniel Jones tore his Achilles. So you're kind of back to the drawing board if you're the Colts. If you're Shane Steichen, could you go, because Daniel Jones, kind of a dual threat. He's mobility. It worked really well playing off the running game. And then Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia. I'm just going to throw the Colts out there as a Malik Willis destination. Buy low.
I love that. And now with Daniel Jones is going to get, obviously his contract is going to get cleaved from what it would have been, right? Because when are they projecting Daniel Jones back next year? Just on the projected timeline, we thinking
maybe October.
Well,
late October, early November-ish.
Right, but
something like that.
But Thor, as we saw with Kirk, though, there's a difference between returning from Achilles to play and returning to being effective, and that takes another year or so. So, like, if you want to win, I suggest you don't sign Jones next season.
And why not do something if you're the Colts? All the money that you would save from Daniel Jones next season, maybe you could do a thing with Daniel Jones where you do a 2-year thing, right? And then most of the money is the second year, and you use the savings on Malik Willis, right? And then you have the insurance. You have the guy that will start for you initially. Then Jones will be coming back. Just roll over the savings into Malik Willis. I love the idea of Malik Willis in that Steichen offense. I think that's inspired. I do think he is what they wanted in Anthony Richardson. They just took the wrong guy. But yeah, I think Malik Willis would absolutely play there.
Can I say this quickly on the Colts? I think the Colts offseason might be one of the most interesting in the entire league. Carly Ursay-Gordon, who now, since her dad died, runs the team. And she's got a headset on the sideline. She seems to know what she's talking about. Like this is not for show. I am going to be so interested to see what she does. Because I don't think she's doing all of the stuff she does for show. I think she wants to run the team. I think their offseason could be fascinating. I really do.
There's no way Steichen's not on. I would not put Steichen on a hot seat.
I'm just saying, whatever they do, I'm here for it. We've never seen, at least publicly, we have never seen an owner that I know of as involved. Now, I'm sure that some in their booth get the headset connection in. So I'm not saying that across the board it has never happened. But do you guys remember an owner being like on the sideline like she is? I just think it opens up a door for a lot of potential, like being involved for better or for worse. But I would not be surprised if she comes in and makes some changes.
Yeah, I was trying to think back in my memory. Last time I could remember an ownership group where they had the headsets on, listening to the play calls. It was when the Giants beat the Vikings 41-0 that NFC game, where they were stealing the signals. Not just kidding. No, totally. She's very, very involved, and more owners should do that. If you owned a team, you spent that much money, I would be on all the time on the little headset listening.
I know
to what
you
they were
would.
saying. Oh yeah.
Once you want to know like who's overbearing, who doesn't know who's stumbling all over themselves.
I would have one at home. You know those people where they can listen to like the police stuff. They have their little radio tuners.
Scanners.
That would be me at my home with, but I'd have the coaching thing, and then now they're talking. I can listen.
I love
this. You want
this.
to call that play? You sure you want to call that play?
Yeah, exactly.
As this take evolves on the Colts, I'm going to bring the Vikings into it for a second too. I think, and maybe I'm missing a team in here, but if you were ranking NFL teams based on like the jump that you could make if you just had better, more consistent quarterback play in 2026, the Vikings and the Colts are sitting here. Like in terms of where the Colts are at, Daniel Jones cooked for now. You don't trust Anthony Richardson. Phillip Rivers is going to be 45. It's kind of a one-year deal. The Vikings either need a big jump from McCarthy to stay healthy, consistent, play like he has at his peak, or find someone that can. And if you were to plop like a high-end top 8 quarterback, someone of that nature into those teams, they go from being like 8 or 9 win teams to 12 or 13 win teams in 2026. Maybe there's another team or two in that category, but it's like those two organizations are going to be turning over stones internally and externally to figure out how can we not sit here again at 8 or 9 wins and be on the outside looking in. So we'll see. We'll see. Okay.
Hey, I'm going back through, Phil, to your point. I'm going back through the schedule now, okay? I'm going to go through the losses. The Vikings losses, and tell me the ones that you think are legit just L's, and the ones where you think, you know what? If you go back, could have won that game. Week 2, the Falcons, 22-6.
That was a legit L.
Still a game though when McCarthy got hurt.
It was.
What was it? It was 10-6, I believe, at the end, and then you had the catastrophe happened in the fourth quarter when he shouldn't have been out there. But that game got away from him. Then I still believe, and I know whatever. If McCarthy doesn't get hurt in that game, Vikings win that game. I ardently believe that. I was in the building. But yeah, I think that game absolutely could have flipped. It did not get wayward until after McCarthy got hurt.
It was 9-6 deep into the third quarter. It was 12-6 with like 11 minutes left in the fourth quarter. So, I mean, I'm going to say you lost the game. You couldn't do anything offensively for the first half, whatever, but okay.
Week 4 in Dublin, Pittsburgh, 24-21, a game that I think you could have won.
And what's the premise again? With what? Just like better,
better
offense?
If your quarterback, if your team plays offensively like it should have, my premise is, to your point, Phil, if we were to talk about the Vikings as, let's say, a 12-win team, which games did they legitimately lose where it's just like you had no hope? Like the Chargers game. The Chargers game, you just got boat raced. But like Pittsburgh, I think
that one is like the opposite of the Falcons, because that one, they came back, the Vikings, they tacked the points on at the end. But if you have a better offense in the first half, absolutely, I think you're there with them.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think the way that you got shredded a couple times by that 80-yard touchdown to DK Metcalf, I'm actually going to call the Pittsburgh game also a legitimate loss because you were down by so much.
Yeah, and your defense actually didn't play as great as they could have in that game. Philadelphia 28-22. I thought you could have won
easily.
Agreed. Yeah.
And Philadelphia was trying to give you that game.
Exactly. Yeah. Chargers loss. Baltimore 27-19. Followed by the Bears. By the Bears.
Baltimore's the most egregious loss for the fact that you called 48 dropbacks in a close game with a quarterback starting for, I think, the 5th time in his career, or maybe the 4th time in his career.
Yes. Yeah, and wasn't that the game with the hand, the first hand gate where he hit it off the helmet?
Yes.
Yeah. Throwing that many times in that scenario, I didn't know about that one. Of course, the Bears game, all you have to do is take away the Duvernay return.
Correct.
And that's a win. That's literally one play, and you got a dub.
And then the last two are the Packers 23-6 in Green Bay. I think that's a legit loss.
Yeah.
But then Seattle, you got shut out 26-0, but your defense was freaking lights out.
Yeah. It's also at Seattle, who's likely going to be the number 1 seed, and you scored 0 points.
Correct.
Like a better quarterback isn't guaranteed to get you to 20 or 24. I'll say on the conservative side, if you have league average quarterback play across all of those games, it's 2 extra wins, and you are sitting here at 10-6 going into the final weekend.
Yeah, and you're in great shape.
I would like to go spicier. If you had league average quarterback health luck, you would have 2 more wins at least.
Yeah.
I will up both of you and say, if you had a play caller who was willing to give in to the fact that he couldn't run that sexy offense he likes, then you're good to go.
No one has ever been more aggrieved than Kevin O'Connell that he has to call running plays. Maybe a couple of quick hitters.
And he finally started to do it, and it worked.
He like at the podium, he's like Nelson Mandela talking about it's like, it's okay, Kev. It's okay.
Kevin, you're getting credit for this, dude. Like no one's. People are praising. This is great. People are praising you for. All right, Thor, give us another football take for the road here.
All right, this one, college football. I was gonna just spend this one on the Pop-Tart Bowl, but I think I've given Judd enough. Love the Pop-Tart Bowl.
Wait, why did the strawberry? Was it the strawberry Pop-Tart that bailed off the edge?
Yeah.
What was that? Why did he?
Because what they've done is they've created the Pop-Tart multiverse now. You have the one in the middle, the protein strawberry guy. He jumps off. He doesn't want to be sacrificed, yet he puts up this sign. It's a nod back to the this is my dream sign from the previous year. But his said, the protein one, he said, it's not my dream yet. And then he's like, you will see me again. And he jumps off. He runs away.
Oh, so it's like a cliffhanger.
Yeah. It's crazy. We have stories going on in the Pop-Tart multiverse. It's pretty wild.
Did you see how quickly the BYU coach eviscerated that celebratory Pop-Tart? He took the Pop-Tart out of the trophy toaster, and it was like a David Blaine. He put it up to his mouth, opened his mouth, shoved it in like a half a second, and then and swallows it and shows the empty.
It was
that dude must have been practicing eating Pop-Tarts leading.
Indiana Jones, when he gets into the thing with all the jewelry, or Scrooge McDuck, and then they have all the coins in the hand. Except Sataki, it was his cookies and cream Pop-Tart, and just, man, you could tell because the teams, they get to choose. The winning teams get to choose which one. I think Kalani's like, boys, we're getting the cookies and cream one, and I will allow the team to vote on the second Pop-Tart.
Yeah.
That was a happy camper, Kalani Sataki.
The only thing I don't like is the strawberry Pop-Tart who offed himself had a landing pad there. Like,
yeah, they shouldn't have shown that angle.
Like, I don't want to see a landing pad. This has to be sacrifice.
Yeah.
100%.
I feel like, was it ESPN? They screwed up the production, man. Like, first of all, they also told the poor sideline interviewer guy who's trying to stall because they're trying to toast the Pop Tarts and the trophy toaster's not working, and then they're trying to get the. And he had to ask like 9 questions to the head coach, and the coach is like, I'm done with this. I just want to eat Pop Tarts.
And then the guy came over like from the bowl game, and then he tried to do, and something just shut off. Like it was like, I don't know, some bolt or screw. Like it just shot into the air and he caught it. I love it so much. I absolutely love it. But my take is about the South Carolina Gamecocks, a feel-good NIL story. You know, in modern college football now, there was an era where we had so many early declarees for the draft, and then you had guys that were, their career went wayward right away, 3 years out of college. Maybe they weren't emotionally mature enough or physically developed enough to succeed in the NFL. And then you had the era starting out now with the NIL where people transfer. South Carolina coming into this year, there was a lot of hype because you had Lenora Sellers at quarterback, a guy that has top 5 NFL draft ability. And then at wide receiver, you had Nicholas Harbor, a guy who is the only guy who's ever been number 1 in Bruce Feldman's freak list for 2 years. And he did it his first 2 years in college with South Carolina. One of the freakiest athletes walking planet Earth is Nicholas Harbor, the 6'5", 235 pounds, and he's an Olympic-level sprinter. And then Dylan Stewart, this stud edge rusher they had, they got this kid to come there out of high school. But all those guys, they had them this year, and you had a disappointing season there. And then you had the coach on the hot seat, and you would just assume that these guys would scatter, whether it's in the portal, whether it's in the NFL draft, and then what would happen with Shane Beamer. All 3 of those guys went back. And all 3 of those guys absolutely could be first-round picks. I think Harbor's the only guy that's kind of pending with that. But in the 2027 class, you could see both Sellers and Stewart top 10 picks in that thing. And if Harbor shows any improvement at all, he has to be a top 25 pick just because of the physical attributes. But the fact that in this era, all 3 of those guys have re-up with South Carolina, I just thought that was cool. In an era, again, where you see the guys go to the NFL, you see them switch teams when they're going back to school, for those 3 guys to go back. And I know that there was a lot of disappointment in college football that guys missed out on them. In fact, we know that Lane Kiffin, he goes to LSU and he got this war chest of NIL. One of his top initial targets was Dylan Stewart. And that was one of like, we're going to get Dylan Stewart here. Dylan Stewart decides to go back to South Carolina. And then a day or 2 later, Lane Kiffin came out with his take that was all over the media of, is the transfer portal actually bad? Guys, have you seen this? It's kind of getting out of control. And I don't know about the transfer portal. Lane Kiffin, a guy who benefited from the transfer portal almost as much as anyone, is now arguing that it's broken because he missed out on Dylan Stewart. But shout out to South Carolina, a feel-good NIL story.
South Carolina, I feel like they were. I wound up randomly watching probably 3 or 4 South Carolina games. I know Thor pours through each one of them 6 times, so not quite up on the level of Thor. But they had a schedule gauntlet middle of the year where at the time they played these 5 teams, it was 5 consecutive teams ranked 14th or better in the country. At LSU, home against Oklahoma, number 14, for Alabama, at number 7 Ole Miss, at number 3 Texas A&M in a close game, by the way, that they were leading, I think, in the 4th quarter, and they lost that game 31-30. So that is I don't know what their schedule is next year. So much of it depends in these conferences. Like, do you have to go through a gauntlet of 5 teams or not? But that's pretty cool. I do think, like, with both college basketball and football, we have to put some parameters on NIL. Like, there should be some, like, college basketball. I think it came out during March Madness last year, which is when the portal opened. So you got, like, Tom Izzo is coaching in the Sweet 16, and also his staff is trying to worry about, are there players on our current team that are, like, going to opt out? Like, what's going to happen? 20% of college basketball players hit the portal last year. And I don't know what the percentage is in college football, but it's so hard to figure out. There needs to be, like, either contract lengths or you get, like, you can hit the portal once immediately, but if you hit it like a second time, or there's got to be some parameters, in my opinion.
I think the problem is in football, like the skill position players, it's nice to know who your skill position players are. But in basketball, you used to know the entire team. And now, like the Gophers, I can name you like 2. So I actually think it hurts because if my left tackle changes, I don't care as long as the dude's good, right? So
As long as his name's not Justin Schools, the replacement.
Hey, that's your guy, Justin Scholes. Remember how excited you were in June? But yeah, I think in basketball it hurts more because you literally don't know any players, and your starting five were at one point household names. Breaking news. This tweet.
Hold on.
Tweet just coming across right now. Marcus Freeman tweets 2026 ... Run it back. Go Irish.
Okay, so he's not going.
So
to
he
the
is
Giants.
not going to the Giants. So
Okay.
Marcus Freeman is staying at Phil's beloved Notre Dame Fighting Irish. He is not going to be the Giants'
That's right.
next coach.
So not only the Irish holds on to one of the great coaches in modern college football, but avoids the clownery and the tomfoolery that is beneath them of the Pop Tarts Bowl. A great weekend for Notre Dame football. Let's go.
It's a tale of as old as time. You turn down the reward that your team got by winning the last 10 games so that you can open up 2 weeks to take telephone calls from the NFL so you can parlay it into a contract extension and raise. Well done, Marcus Freeman.
Hey, you know what,
Wake up the echoes.
Brian Kelly did that school the greatest favor of all time. And I hope Lane Kiffin is next. I hope those two stiffs end up in the same home. the same coaching home.
Wait, which two stiffs? Wait, Brian Kelly
and Lane Kiffin.
Oh, okay.
Brian Kelly,
not Marcus Freeman.
No. Brian, but Freeman does not get that job almost certainly if Brian Kelly doesn't bail.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah.
And Marcus Freeman's great.
Yeah.
I think.
Does Brian Kelly get another Power 5, Power 4 coaching job?
It's going to be some. He is right now. He is the next Bobby Petrino.
Oh, interesting. See, Bob, I only disagree slightly with that in that Bobby seems like a lifer that you can't kick out. Like he seems like a Hal Mummy guy where like if the FBS was like, no, we don't want you anymore, I think he would be an OC at like a D3 school. I think his identity as a human being is I'm in the film room or whatever. Whereas Brian Kelly, it seems like he has some other. Brian Kelly's a weird dude, and I thought it was weird that he was immediately arguing with, LSU, they wanted to fire him for cause, right? Yep. And so there was the weird thing with that. But then Brian Kelly, their legal argument was LSU, because of the way they've acted, has made it impossible for me to get hired somewhere else. Yep. And it's like, well, no, pal, that's actually your personality. But but that being said, to make that a legal defense as the coaching carousel window was still wide open with all these different jobs that were still available, what that told me, in conjunction with all the reports of Brian Kelly as a recruiter at LSU, where he would let everyone else do that and I'm not going on the trips anymore. And there was one really important window where his assistants couldn't even get a hold of him. I think Brian Kelly's checked out, and to me, this is indicative of a guy who had decided to retire when this happens, because why else wouldn't you try to get back in the game? When James Franklin got fired early, another example of a high-profile coach, he was beating the pavement down of like, I need a new job, I need a new job, I need a new job. Whereas Brian Kelly, I think he wants LSU to pay every dollar of that buyout, which would be offset if he gets hired by another school.
So he'd rather vindictively make LSU pay the rest of it than take another job.
And I think he just wants to sit in his mansion the rest of his, and jump into his Scrooge McDuck, thing with all the coins.
With his family?
If I had a contract like that, I would build the same pool.
Hey, where's my family at? Hey, Brian,
if Peach left and then the Gophers hired Brian Kelly, I would love to see him come out of half court and then his Minnesota accent. Hey,
do you want to go with?
Let me just sneak by you there. All right. For Thor Nystrom, you can find him also. If it wasn't obvious, and maybe you're finding this podcast through some other means besides like Purple Daily and Thor Talks Purple. We talk a lot of Vikings on our other podcasts, and this is our space to talk the rest of the football world here on Football Takes. If you enjoy these episodes, click that like button on the Football Takes video here, and the subscribe button, and a 5-star rating and a positive review on the Football Takes Apple and Spotify pages. We'll see you guys later on this week for some more Football Takes.